1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The government begins talks with the IMF. A positive response is received from the IMF for a sustainable solution. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said in Parliament they have pointed out 2 years ago on the present crisis faced by the country today. The independent parliamentarians sit with the opposition. The price of wheat flour has been increased by 40 rupees. And in foreign news, Russia bombards cities as Eastern offensive begins. News in detail. The government began discussions with the IMF today. It will be held until the 24th of this month in Washington. Discussions will be focused on obtaining loan concessions. Finance Minister Ali Sabri, Secretary to the Ministry Mahinda Siriwardena, and the government of the Central Bank and the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Nandalal Weerasinghe, have participated in the discussions. Minister of Finance Ali Sabri met with the Managing Director of International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, yesterday at IMF headquarters in Washington, D.C. The IMF has commented on the steps already taken by the Finance Minister to mitigate the financial situation in Sri Lanka. The IMF has assured their fullest support to Sri Lanka, and a positive response has also been received to expedite the process to strengthen the support extended towards Sri Lanka. Minister of Finance has made a request for a rapid financing instrument or RFI with the IMF and has subsequently informed Minister Sabri that India had also made representations on behalf of Sri Lanka for an RFI. It had been communicated that IMF will consider the special request made despite it being outside of the standard circumstances for the issuance of an RFI. The Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, and the top-level Indian economic delegation met with the Finance Minister Ali Sabri at the IMF headquarters yesterday. Ms. Sitharaman has assured Minister Ali Sabri on India's fullest support to Sri Lanka to move forward and has emphasized on India's commitment to strengthen the development of the economy in Sri Lanka and building stronger bonds between the two nations as they move forward together. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said in Parliament today that the government will not put the public into difficulties willingly. He said it is an acceptable fact that the people are suffering from many issues. Plans should be submitted to get rid of this crisis faced by the country. Discussions have already been commenced with the IMF and a positive response for it has been received. The Prime Minister also said that the friendly countries have agreed to support Sri Lanka to manage the present crisis. He said earlier he had invited the groups engaged in a protest at the Galle Face for a discussion. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that the opposition had pointed out 2 years ago on the present economic crisis faced by the country today. He said one reason for the present crisis has been attributed to reducing the government income by providing tax concessions. He also accused the government of using finances to pay debt and interest, which was to be used for importing essential items, including food and medicine. Parliamentarian Ranil Wickremesinghe said that presently the whole country is looking at us. He said in Parliament that the country is facing a crucial moment. The budget should be amended and the country's financial management should be obtained by the Parliament. Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara said that the Petroleum Corporation is incurred a loss of nearly 2 billion rupees daily. Therefore, the prices of fuel had to be increased. The government is expected to provide relief for sectors including the fisheries. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. 40 independent members of Parliament who withdrew from the ruling party have taken their seats in the opposition. The decision was reached after taking into account the host of issues in the country, including the ongoing economic, social and political crises. Speaker Mahinda Abewardena temporarily adjourned the parliamentary session for a period of 10 minutes. The adjournment followed a heated debate among several members of the Parliament, of the government and the opposition. The Prima Ceylon Private Limited has increased the price of wheat flour by 40 rupees per kilogram. The price hike is effective from today. Accordingly, the prices of all bakery products will be increased. A special discussion is being held between the Minister of Transport and the Private Bus Owners Association. The Secretary to the Ministry of Transport, Mani Rantunga, said that the discussion will be focused on the problems faced by the private bus owners with the increase in fuel prices again. The passengers complain that the private buses are not functioning sufficiently. Meanwhile, our correspondent says that several roads are blocked due to the protest campaigns. And that ends local news for now. And the main news story, parliamentarian former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said that discussions were held with the World Bank to obtain financial assistance to Sri Lanka. Participating in the Dasa Desin program of the SLBC today, he stated that attention has been paid to provide speedy solutions for the shortages in food, medicine, fuel and fertilizer. All basic needs of the public should be fulfilled by the government. However, he emphasized that he is dedicated always on behalf of the people of the country. He further said that action will be taken to receive support from the friendly countries. And that was the main news story. And now in Watchlight, the Ceylon Electricity Board announced scheduled power cuts from today until the 20th of April. As a result, the CEB requested a 4-hour and 20-minute power outage today as well as a 4-hour and 50-minute outage tomorrow and the day after. That was Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
World News headlines. Russia bombards cities as Eastern offensive begins. Japan cautiously optimistic of improving ties with South Korea. The British Prime Minister set to apologize to MPs over lockdown fine. World News in detail. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Russia has launched an assault to seize the eastern Donbas region. Moscow bombarded cities with rockets and artillery fire yesterday. And in a video address, Mr. Zelensky said that the battle for the Donbas has begun. Ukraine's top security official, Oleksiy Danilov, said that Russia tried to break through Ukrainian front lines in the region. The offensive has been long expected after Russia failed to seize Kyiv. Russia initially appeared to want to capture major Ukrainian cities and topple the government. Japan's government is watching the moves of South Korea's new administration with both optimism and caution as the two sides seek opportunities to improve strained bilateral ties. South Korean President-elect Yoon Suk-yeol is due to inaugurate his government on 10th of May. He is taking office at a time when relations between the two countries have sharply deteriorated over historical issues involving wartime labor and those referred to as comfort women. Yoon's nominee for Foreign Minister Park Yin said on Monday that if bilateral ties remain strained, it will not be in the interest of either country. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to apologise to MPs after being fined for breaking lockdown rules, as he argues there are more important issues to focus on. The Prime Minister is set to make his first statement to Parliament since being fined by police for a June 2020 breach. Opposition parties are expected to try and censure the Prime Minister in the coming days amid claims he lied to MPs. But Grant Shapps says the PM did not knowingly mislead Parliament. Back to the headlines of the world news. Russia bombards cities as Eastern offensive begins. Japan cautiously optimistic for improving ties with South Korea. British Prime Minister said to apologise to MPs over lockdown fine. And that ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by
Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
In development news, the development projects which are identified by the Rural Development Committee will be implemented and 240 million rupees will be spent for this project.
Development news was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
The Sports Minister Thenuka Vidanagamge says that action will be taken for the betterment of the sports as planned. A program will be implemented to win international medals by increasing talented sportsmen and women. He made these remarks while assuming duties as the Minister of Sports. And that was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Sri Lankan Airlines records its first profitable fourth quarter since 2006 for the financial year that ended on 31st March 2022 with a group net profit of $1.7 million despite pandemic challenges. The airline said it was able to achieve this financial turnaround through various measures in its 2021-2022 financial year, including scaling down staff costs and overheads, renegotiating supplier contracts, increasing cargo revenue, and creating an ambitious growth plan capitalizing on pent-up travel demand. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Iran organized the Tourism Promotion Partnership Event 2022 at its Chancery premises in Tehran recently this year with the support of the Sri Lankan Tourism Promotion Bureau and the Association of Air Transport and Tourist Agencies of Iran. The purpose of this event was to enhance partnerships in promoting Sri Lanka tourism in Iran and to share recent tourism development in Sri Lanka among the people of Iran. And that was economic news. And in the weather report, the Met Department says that showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the Sabaragamuwa Central, Uva, North Central and Eastern provinces during the evening or at night. Several special showers may occur in the Western province and in the Galle, Matra and Putlam districts. That was the weather report. And to conclude this news broadcast, the headlines once again. The government begins talks with the IMF. A positive response is received from the IMF for a sustainable solution. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasu said in Parliament they have pointed out 2 years ago on the present crisis faced by the country today. The independent parliamentarians sit with the opposition. The price of wheat flour has been increased by 40 rupees. News from overseas, Russia bombards cities in eastern offensive begins. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.